First, I'm going to start with you, Commissioner. From the time you were in office, which is 2012?
Yes.
Right? You were in office as a commissioner and you did a lot of reforms, you did a lot of strategy, policies and all that. Some of which saw the light of the day, others did not see the light of the day. Right now with this administration, what is your take? Do you see hope as we are moving into the next couple of years, 5 years of this Ruto administration?
Definitely. Yeah? First of all, thank you for the invite. It's very welcome there. The idea of police reforms is to ensure that people experience democratic policing, that there is security to property, security to lives. It's not a luxury, it's a must for a democratic and just society. And the idea of police reforms came in with a context.
Yeah.
The context here was police as an institution in our country was not one which was made for the people. It was made for the colonial master. It was meant to keep people who are colonized under severe repression, devoid of any human rights.
To keep them on check, basically.
And it is to serve the purpose of the colonial logic. Absolute theft of our resources, subjugation of our rights, killing and maiming. And you see, the ethos of the police emanated from the idea of protecting property, because police and policing came with Makinan, who was a guru in commercial terms. Remember the Makinan market in Mombasa? Yes. That is where he wanted security over his stores and the products. It was not meant to keep us safe or to keep our... The police was meant to subjugate us, to allow the colonial powers take our resources away, take our land, take our humanity. And it further got impetus with the Kenya-Uganda railway construction, whereby now the police had more duties. And we had posts in Mombasa, Nairobi, and Kisumu. So the whole idea of policing in Kenya was to subjugate people, to protect property. And unfortunately, when we got independence, we failed, like in many other things, to decolonize our institutions. So the police remained a colonial relic across post-independent period, where the government in power found it also very convenient to use the police as a means of retaining power and ruling, and like what you said in your introduction, to suppress any kind of opposition.
Dissenting opinions to the administration.
It was not a democratically wired institution. Now, if we fast forward across the different regimes, and we came to 2010, the most amazing thing in 2010 was there was a sustained move by the Kenyan people to look into what caused our post-election violence of 0708. And we had Justice Waki to look at the causes, and one of the causes was the inept police service. Of course, we have our ethnic politics and all that. And the idea that the provincial administration also used police powers because they were the commanders of the administration police unit, which was, again, the creation of a colonial power to subjugate Kenyans, to remove the barter economy, to put the money economy or the currency economy, so that what they were trying to achieve is that we monetize our economy. And since we don't have money, yes, we must seek now to work as laborers in our own farms. And we were being suppressed by what was then known as the tribal police. People put together, strong people like village cowboys.
Yes.
So that was the way even administration police grew up, and to force us to pay taxes, because if you have to pay tax, you have to go look for work. So you work on the farm, you provide labor, free labor on your own farm in exchange for money which you pay as tax. And where they cannot tax you, the colonial power said, you have a head, so you have a head tax. We are taxing you
Yes.
because you have a head on your shoulders, because there was nothing else to tax.
Goodness.
So it was enslavement without coming out and saying that we are enslaving you. So it was very brutal. So the police, both administration police and Kenya Police Service, was not a creature of democratic policy. It was a creature of suppression. And the way the training and the ethos and the culture with which the police grew was in the same manner. And there's a dictum within the police ranks, now overthrown, that raia ni adui. Raia ni adui. So if that is the relationship that subsists between the police force as it then was, maybe still is.
For the most part, I think after the
Yes.
promulgation of the Constitution, it
Yes.
changed.
Now,
It's a service.
when we got our Constitution, the best way to define our Constitution is an instrument of change, an instrument of transformation. Change from what? Change from a colonial era institutions. All our institutions are getting decolonized. One critical one was therefore the police force.
And that's the Police Service Commission that came on board.
And the Police Service Commission, which was supposed to facilitate.
Yes. So with it came in with a lot of policies and structures and all of that. You sat on the front row seat in terms of formulating, right?
Yes.
10 years has gone by.
Yes.
Some of those have seen the light of the day, others haven't. Are you hopeful with this administration? Quick one.
Wonderful. What was lacking was political will. What we are seeing is political will. And the first instance of political will is when the president said he is going to make the police service truly independent, because that is what is constitutional.
Interesting.
And to make it independent, you have to give them independent funding.
Budget.
We vouched for that throughout our tenure. It never happened. It's happening on the first day of this new administration.
Wow.
So it's an indicator of political will. So my hope is that we have the regulations in place, we have the structures in place. All we need to supply now is the political will. And if this is an indication of political will, then we're on the threshold of very great things.
And we're on the right track.
Yes.
Thank you. So criminal must be dealt with criminally.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So with these directives or quote-unquote reforms coming from the top, the president, and then this statement coming from Professor Kithure Kindiki, trying to balance in between the two.
Yes.
I mean, we are trying to look at it. So are we looking at, is it really the end of extrajudicial killings?
You
because,
see,
I mean, all these killings, they are quote-unquote justified in one way or another. All use a criminal, all potential terrorists, all this, all that.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yes.
First of all, we need to lean on the Constitution. The Constitution does not in any way subscribe to extrajudicial things, be it killing, be it anything. Extrajudicial means it is absolutely against the law. And when you look at our criminal justice system, it starts from the police arresting, investigating before arresting, and then charging people before the court of law. And then you leave it off. It goes to the DPP to see whether you have enough evidence before it goes for trial.
After proper investigation.
Yes, after proper investigation. And even if you look at it, Kenya has not effected the death penalty for long. In other words, there is no crime in Kenya which warrants a death penalty. So even if it was to go through a judicial proceeding, you won't be killed. So why do you take upon yourself the work of being the person who is arresting, the person who is judging, and the person who is executing? It is absolutely illegal. And when we look at Professor Kindiki, he is a lawyer, and he is in charge of the most powerful docket, arguably, the Ministry of Interior. So when he speaks and makes such a commitment...
At least he's a nominee yet,
yes,
at least.
Yeah, nominee, but for all practical purposes, we hope and we believe that they will go through. But then if you look at the president's show of political will, bring the culprits to book, and you see that marks the end of impunity. The problem is these things keep going on because there is probably some subtle commandment for it to go on, and they don't face any consequences of their action. Now, one of the most important pillars of this constitution is accountability. You must be accountable for what you do or what you fail to do.
And that's the prop directive that the president gave earlier on today.
Absolutely.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for calling
My
in.
name is Ali. I'm calling from the US.
Yes, Ali.
I am one of the victims that was kidnapped in 2019 and 2018 when I was living in Nairobi. I was tortured for 2 weeks by one of the killer cop named Ahmed Rashid. I lost 1.8 million. He extorted me 1.8 million. I have reported this matter to IPOA. I have reported everything to higher authorities. No action has been taken. I have filed for witness protection. No action has been taken. He continued threatening my life. I was operating my own business in Nairobi. I owned Manyangas. I was owning transportation companies. I ended up all losing my businesses as a result of this killer cop. Since last 2019 up to right now, I have been fighting for justice. I want to ask a question to IMLU. IMLU never assisted me. I went to their office. I requested some assistance from the IMLU's office. Never assisted me. IPOA is a full of lip service.
Wow.
They all human rights organizations and civil rights organizations are beneficiary of extrajudicial killing.
Wow.
They never take action.
Paul Hassan Ali for your predicaments. I'm so sorry. I mean, that was Ali, a victim of extrajudicial killings. Probably, I mean, because he mentioned you guys, literally, IMLU, that he brought the issue and actually went ahead and mentioned the killer cop that allegedly took up the case. So I don't know what you have to say in response to that. Before you continue and then before you lose your...
I think what is happening is... siku ya mwizi ni 40. Sooner or later, justice will catch up with you. And things have a habit of turning around. What we are seeing today, and even in today's president's speech, is that there is going to be investigation on killer cops. So they may run, but they won't be able to hide. I can feel the brother who was speaking. And I can feel the discomfort of IMLU, but honestly speaking, despite having done all what you have to do, if the system is opaque and has people who support it and their actions, you get these rogue police officers thinking they can do whatever they want to do. I may say that their time is up. What the president should do, other than investigating this, should put up a commission of inquiry. Where people with different pieces of evidence now can come boldly forward and give their evidence before this commission of inquiry, and the findings then subjected to a judicial process, whereby these people can be prosecuted. And not only that, I think we need to go a bit further and have some compensation for the people who have suffered. And I'm also taking it a step forward that these extrajudicial killings also applied a lot to the Muslim community under the guise of fighting terror. You cannot fight terror with terror in a democratic society. You get hold of the criminal. That's why the capacity of the DCI is incredibly important. That they should have enough resources, and they have now been resourced to be able to undertake proper investigations, nail the people with evidence, send them for prosecution, and let them face the law and the consequences thereafter. But simply snuffing out people's lives, taking somebody from their homes and stealing them. And you 8 years down the line, you have lists of people who don't know where their people are.
Wow.
There cannot be pain and suffering of that nature. So there ought to be a closure to these cases. If somebody has gone, we say he has gone. There is going to be compensation which is going to be given now to the victims who were left behind, Kenyans who lost a father, who lost a son, who lost a relative. You see, it's good to have a closure, and the best methodology of doing this is a commission of inquiry.
Yes. Of which the president directed that to be put in place.
Yes, I want to imagine that when the president says investigations can be conducted, the details can be left to the Minister of Interior.
If I were the president right now, I mean, it would be the next PS of Interior. I promise you. It would be the next PS of Interior. And I just task you to see this thing through, beside many other issues.
So that can bring closure.
Yeah.
That can bring justice. That can settle Kenyans, and then we start building the country afresh. And we have proper institutions. We have these institutions. We have the internal affairs.
We have the structures ready.
We have IPOA. We have Ministry of Interior. We have the Office of the IG. We have the National Police Service Commission. We have the Commission on Administrative Justice. We have the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. These are multi-sectoral units which can work together, and we can get very powerful outcomes for this country.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And
very unfortunate comment from a person who says he lives in a democratic society. How would he feel if it's his brother who was just taken out?
But again, he mentioned here the fact that some of these criminals are actually even killing people.
But then let's go this way, all right? If somebody has killed another one, they should meet the full force of the law through evidence. In our constitution, we have a Bill of Rights. And in the Bill of Rights, it gives every person who is a suspect, we don't call him a criminal. He is a suspect.
A suspect, yeah.
You have the evidence, you come up with the evidence, you get prosecuted in a court of law. We have rights to get bail. You see, so you cannot have your cake and also eat it. For us to enjoy these freedoms, we have to have full fidelity with the Constitution. If we have to fix our institutions, that's a different thing. Fix these institutions, but you cannot advocate for extrajudicial killing, because remember, insecurity to one means insecurity to all. A time will come, it will visit on your doorstep, and then you don't have anyone to cry to.
God
so
forbid. May it never get
we
there.
cannot sanction for any imagination, however wild our imagination is. We cannot sanction a situation whereby we give security agencies a carte blanche, just go and kill them, and we end with the problem. We need units. There are multiple units in the police service to deal with crime. Different types of crime, including tourist police, anti-stock theft unit. So what other unit are you crying to get? One which can go and start killing people? That's not possible. It's not warranted. It is against the law. It's against the Constitution. So that's my reaction. I'm absolutely amazed by such sentiments.
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Killings and enforced disappearances, torture, cruel and inhuman and degrading treatment or punishment persists in alarming numbers. As we welcome the commitment by His Excellency the President, we note that many other special units, in quotes, accused of serious violations, such as the Flying Squad and the Kwekwe Squad, have previously been disbanded without necessarily ending these violations. In addition, we are aware that executions, disappearances, torture, and cruel treatment are not only committed by the infamous SSU. It is important for the President to extend this action across all security and policing agencies, including the Kenya Forest Services, the Kenya Wildlife Service, and the Kenya Defence Forces, and also the Anti-Terrorism Police Unit.
Thanks so much, Aban. If you could play some of those tweets again so that our guests can react on all of them. In the interest of time, Again, we can have the Asmali tweet say that do not fear those Subarus anymore. They are there to protect you, not to kidnap you. Good move, His Excellency William Ruto. Many have suffered extrajudicial killings and other vices related to that rogue squad. The other tweet here by the Kaslim. The tweet by the Kaslim saying, in my own opinion, we need a commission of inquiry on extrajudicial killing and restrictions for victims. Families need closure, and those who misuse SSU to commit heinous crimes should be brought to book. People must be held in account for these actions. We have one by the Grand Mullah himself on the same matter. Happy His Excellency William Samuel Ruto disbanded the police unit that engaged in extrajudicial killings, but the extrajudicial killings in Kenya is also undertaken by military intelligence and national intelligence service. And yes, only a commission of inquiry a Latin America will unearth the truth. Probably a last one by Amnesty International. Yes, Amnesty welcomes the DCI SSU disbandment. The police KE must also audit SSU activities and publicly respond to allegations of responsibility for enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings of many suspects Basically, yeah, so that's what Amnesty tweeted right there. Thank you so much, Aban. Now back into the student, Hassan Idris, of course, Ibrahim Mohammed in the gallery. Thank you so much for facilitating that. Thank you. Yes, your reactions, quick reactions, the press release and the tweets, Commissioner.
Yes, thank you. I think all the tweets are about what we have said.
Yes.
That in particular, now that there is political will, they are unmasking those who have been hiding behind impunity. And because of that, the issue of investigations has been ordered today by the President. And how that investigation must go can take the route of a commission of inquiry, where the public and other stakeholders, affected families can come in, so that these police officers are held accountable. It is true what our colleagues have said there in that presser, that this malaise is going on across the system. And because this was probably the most notorious one, special purpose unit to kill people, then it also sends very serious messages to the rest of the service that you are not sacred cows and we are going to reach you. And everybody will start stepping back now and going back to the service standing orders, which you have painfully made together with the police working group. I remember that, together with the Office of the Inspector General, to make sure that the force standing orders, the way police operates, now is aligned to the constitutional imperatives of making democratic policing. When you asked Madam here about whether they have been to the authorities, I can confirm, maybe she may not be able to be in that position, that we worked very closely with the reform group. And we had many engagements with the former, now the former, or the outgoing minister or CS.
For Interior?
Yes, for Interior.
Dr. Fred Matiang'i.
Yes, there's a lot of headway which has been made in terms of engagement. And when you see, like the credit was given to various initiatives, including the issue of Nyumba Kumi and the likes. This is the success story of multi-sectoral approach towards police reform, where everybody played a part. And it can be best seen in the manner in which these elections were held. Remember, the reform trajectory began with the inquiry of the police inability to forecast the violence of 0708 and to react to it. More than half of those who were killed by police bullets, you see. But if you look at today, I mean, the last election, where everybody was nervous, the ghosts of 0708 were very real. And we can say what happened in Bomas. There was a move which could potentially incite people to take certain action and which would have called in the police. But you can see there was massive restraint. It means we have come of age, and nothing now can give us more hope then the fact that we want to speak about these things in the open and with political will going forward,
Yeah.
I think this country is on the mend.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks so much for that.